Hello everyone, this is Cetus here. I'm going to use this Peanut Edge Dragon POV to explain who I fully am. But it's not going to be really fully because, I'm just going to explain piece by piece. I know there's more to the story, but I'm going to try to make it short and simple as possible. So here we go. So, of course, my name is Cetus. Yes, I am a Omniplexer. I'm not a healer main, but I am an Omniplexer. I play other classes like Tank, DPS, you name it, I basically play it, right? But I still need gear for it. So, um, basically what I do is that I go into Party Finder and help people clear other fights. I started doing this during Edenverse tier, which is the tier I started in, right? I came in on Eating Gates, but I didn't do the Savages for them because the only classes I have available was my healers, right? But I was just gonna, just load my classes and get my classes up there and just wait for the next tier because the tier was about to be over anyway, right? So I was an over healer. I think everybody fully understand that if you came in on this tier or last tier, you are probably most likely an over healer, right? Or you don't know the fight, you most likely gonna be an over healer. But like everybody starts off as an over healer, it's okay, right? As long as we understand and know the fight and how much damage the mechanic or Ray White does, we should be fine on almost everything that we're supposed to do. So starting on the Eden Promise tier, this is where I started to learn a lot more about healing. Like this is where I learned about mitigation plan. This is where I learned about how much mitigation people need to use. Because if you don't use mitigation on a certain mechanic, you think there's much damage for no reason. I also learned that many players shouldn't really have to overheal because overheal does not mean mitigation, right? Yes, you can fill up your healing numbers, but it's not going to it's not going to affect how the party is going to live if they get straight up one shotted by a big raid wide that is not mitigated. Like you see what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna do anything. So yes, I been through those lines of healers who basically just say that spamming heals is way better than doing damage. Yes, that's true, but the thing about healer is that you need to have the ability to balance both your DPS and mitigation and heals, which is a lot on you guys, right? But you also have to pamper DPS, who basically just going to keep dying to the mechanic. Even though they saw the mechanic maybe 125 times in the practice party, they will still die to it because they still don't know what they're doing. It's not just DPS as well. It's sometimes there's tanks, or sometimes it's you, sometimes it's your co-healer. It's just a lot of things that could happen. So, so starting this in not promise, starting Pandemonium tier, right? 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8. This is where I was fully prepared to do anything. This is where I started to learn how to defend myself as a healer. And I think a lot of players need to understand that defending yourself as a healer, that means that you're fully committed to actually answer any type of questions of what you're doing and what you have, right? So I wasn't really too afraid. I wasn't really too paranoid about oh, I could have healed more there. No, it's more why there's no mitigation there. Normally people would mitigate there. People would normally throw out something there. Normally something should be there from this tank, right? But some certain things shouldn't happen if a certain player should die to a certain thing, right? That's what I also learned. A lot of players die to stupid mechanics. Say for example, in P7S, right? If somebody dies from raid wide damage and they're across the map, I'm not adjusting to you because you're across the map. You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense if I'm going to sit there and focus target you over the party, right? If my co-healer ain't doing nothing, then I'm going to also do nothing because I'm not going to pre-adjust to somebody who could have just thrown out an OGCD just to make the party live, right? Because I'm throwing out a GC and an OGCD Why they could have just allowed an OGD and just done nothing for the rest of the time, right? So I do know how to balance my heals. I do know how to be conservative as well. I'm not going to waste stuff and basically have nothing for the next raid wide or the next mechanic, because it's like it makes no sense if I'm basically spamming heals or wasting mitigation on like certain mechanics that we should probably most likely have locked down. If either the other healer or the physical range or somebody could just throw out something that will basically keep the party alive or keep the healers alive or whoever has dot damage alive. Like, it's more important to able to fully understand like where we're using our mitigation at, because like if we don't know, then we could die from straight up damage, and it wouldn't be the healer's fault because it will be out of healer range, right? So starting this here, many players do not know how healer works. Like, most players will just sit there and spam heals all day and won't even know how to really properly be conservative or like care enough to even stay by the healers to get healed, or like throw out like maybe a Cosmos, like a 10% mitigation if you're a white mage. But like, there's a lot of stuff that is missing in certain parts that would made the healing experience way better. And honestly, heal check shouldn't be that much stressful, because to me, I did this at week 1, and it was okay-ish because that's because some people have gear. That's fine, right? Like, some people have gear. That's fine. It's a-okay. But what's not a-okay is that players are basically not throwing enough mitigation. They think it's fine. The whole party will adjust to it, or the healers will overheal, but it doesn't do anything. I could also say that healer rotation does exist. I don't think people who is not experienced with healer would not know that, because like they think that because they just healers, they just basically heal. They don't have a rotation. They do. Healers have a rotation, just that certain players are taking them out of their rotation, or like that might be like a self conscious thing, because like you basically play healer almost your whole life, or like if you just started healer because you either A, died to a mechanic from lack of heals, right? And you just want to like be like, oh my god, healer is so easy. Why people, think that healer is so hard? Why they can't just pop Medica too? You don't understand until like you get down to like the end part of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't really go as far as healing or like exercise their healing skills, And a lot of people don't exercise their healing skills at all. They don't exercise it at all. Like, they don't exercise like doing damage over healing, or like trust the party to mitigate, so you could like have an easier time just by sitting there just DPSing. Like, a lot of things shouldn't really be much of a problem if players know their healing rotation, because everybody has their own part to play, right? Like, shield healer has their own part. The shield healer part is to mitigate hard hitting raid wides or like stacks or stuff like that. White mage or pure healer like Astro keeps the party alive from dot damage and not straight up dying from straight up damage, and make sure nobody kicks the bucket. And I know that DPS, they have to basically do DPS as a boss and give out raid buffs at the correct time, obviously, right? Almost every class has raid buffs in this game except for tanks, but the main important part is that not tanks. The main important part is that DPS have to learn the mechanics and not die, because if they die, they're affecting the team from clearing. You don't want to get a team affected. So it is a-okay for healers to do some point of DPS, right? But if somebody dies, yes, you gotta adjust for them. But like, if they kept dying, then there's no point adjusting to them, because like it might be a wipe anyway. So I'm not gonna really sit there and be like, look, I'm gonna waste my time healing you, but like, you gotta stop dying. But in my opinion, I learned healer on my own, I really didn't need that much people help, but like, but I still do end up fixing my issues or the problems if they do come by, like they almost always do. But like the thing is, I don't have that much problem because like nobody I would tell or ask the other here like what they're doing, what they're popping out, and I'm just basically a healer that basically works with everybody. It's fine, but yeah.